Hello, everybody. Welcome to the New York City Department of Buildings virtual information session. We are just letting people in right now. And I see a few people are still connecting. So I'll give everybody a moment. Okay, so my name is Marnie Smith. I am the Assistant Director of Graduate Career Services at the Marxe School at Baruch College. Next to me is Suzanne Grossman, who is the Deputy Director of Career Services and Alumni Relations, also at the Marxe School. We thank all our partner schools for joining us, as well as our speaker, Rachel Love, who will be presenting in just a few moments. Before we get started, we just wanted to do a little e-poll, which I'm going to launch now. Can we see the poll?
Yes.
Okay, great. So it's just a couple of questions asking folks in the room if you're a grad student, if you're an alum, undergrad, and then what degree you are working towards or that you've already obtained if you're an alum. So this will just give us an idea of who's here in the session with us, and we'll just give a couple of moments for that. And while everybody is filling that out, I'm just going to put a link in the chat box. This is the second to last event in our Social Impact Career Series. We do have another one coming up at the end of April, which we would love to have you join us. So you can sign up with that link. Okay, I think we've got some good responses from the poll, so I'm going to end the poll. And I'm going to share the results. Can we see the results?
Yes.
Okay, great. For anyone who can't see the results, it looks like 89% of the folks in here are grad students, and then 11% are alumni at the graduate level. So it looks like we don't have any undergrads here today. And most people are getting either their MPA or their MPP, about 72%. So thank you everybody for filling that out. And without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Rachel Love from the NYC Department of Buildings. Thank you for being here, Rachel.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Love. I'm the agency's Recruitment Assistant for the New York City Department of Buildings. And I'm going to be discussing with you the great opportunities at the Department of Buildings, as well as our role within New York City government and internship opportunities. So the Department of Buildings is a regulatory agency of the City of New York, and we are responsible for the safe and lawful use of over 1 million buildings and 45,000 active construction sites throughout the entire city. We're very important to the economic growth and development of the city. Some of us live in a building, some of us work in a building. So we are all impacted by a building in one way or another. And we're very important agency for the city. In addition to regulating the construction industry, we also conduct emergency responses, and we hold the construction industry accountable. And above all, we are a public safety organization, and we are committed to improving our performance and developing procedures that are streamlined, understandable, and transparent. So currently we're looking for 3 interns for 3 internship roles, and all resumes and cover letters must be submitted to the New York City Careers website at nyc.gov/jobs. The first internship I'm going to go over with you is a college aide in our records management office. So in this role, you'll be working with the Chief Records Management Officer to update our record practices, and you'll also be gaining experience in grant writing, outreach, and project management. The deadline for this to submit your resume and cover letter is April 14th. The next opportunity we have is a college aide position in our customer experience unit. The deadline for this internship is tomorrow, April 9th. In this role, you'll be researching and analyzing data in our customer service unit to improve procedures. And you'll be designing and creating material for our customer service staff members. And in this role, you get to gain experience in project management, research, and constituent services. And the next internship role is a college aide in our emergency operations unit. This is based in our Queensboro office. And in this role, you'll be working with managers in creating route sheets for our inspectors, entering incidents into our incident database, and processing violations. And this is a great opportunity for you to gain experience in personnel management, emergency operations, constituent services, and outreach. And the deadline for this position is April 9th as well.
That's great, Rachel. Do you want me to share my screen and so we can look at the website together?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me just share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So you can see, as Rachel said, I've gone to nyc.gov/jobs. I'm just going to click on the main search bar. And then Rachel showed me this yesterday, everybody, so I'm ahead of the game here. So basically, I'm going to agency, which is all the way at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm just going to go to buildings,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to search. So there's 6 matches found, and you can see the opportunities that Rachel just mentioned. Here's the college aide for records management. Here's the college aide for customer experience. Here's the college aide for emergency operations. So you can find the full descriptions here. And Rachel, will you remind us, this is for summer?
It's actually a year-round internship. You can start off interning in the summer and then continue on with your internship until you graduate.
Okay.
It's a paid internship program. It's a great opportunity for you to earn money and work part-time during the school year, but you can also work full-time during your vacation period.
Okay, excellent. And in terms of other roles, do you think after COVID-19, after we start flattening the curve, there will be more full-time roles opening up?
Yes, definitely. We are a very dynamic agency and we have a lot of work to do. So when the crisis calms down, there'll be more opportunities for students and recent grads to apply for full-time roles.
Okay, great. And Rachel, you mentioned that you started as an intern, right?
Yes.
Will you share that story a little bit with us?
Certainly. So I started off as an intern at the Department of Buildings 6 years ago. Before that internship, I interned for a member of Congress, and my background has always been in political science and government administration. It's something I'm really passionate about. So after I interned for a member of Congress, I wanted to get more exposure to city government. So I applied for a college aide position at the Department of Buildings through my school's career services webpage. I did my undergraduate work at Manhattan College, where I majored in government. And in that internship, I gained a lot of experience in personnel management, human resources, public administration, and it was during this internship where I really found my niche, what I want to continue on career-wise. And I started off working in training and professional development, and then I transitioned to another college aide position in human resources. And I would work with the recruitment manager on scheduling interviews, coordinating start dates, and other human resources activities. And a few, like 2 semesters into my internship, an HR staff member left the agency, and there was an opportunity for me to interview for her role. I had to be interviewed by my boss and other Department of Buildings personnel, and then I was hired. It was a transition from working from an intern to a full-time role, but I always have to say that I can't be here today had it not been for my previous internship experiences.
Awesome. That's great. That's great that there's upward mobility at the NYC DOB. Wonderful. And will you tell us a little bit about the interview process for the internships and for the full-time roles?
Certainly. So first things first, all resumes and cover letters must be submitted through the New York City Careers website by the deadline. I personally cannot take resumes and cover letters through an email. It has to go through the appropriate channels, through the New York City Careers website by this deadline. So all resumes and cover letters must be submitted by that time before a candidate can be interviewed. So most of our interviews are conducted by a unit manager looking for an intern for that particular unit. And they reach out to the candidate, and then that manager has an interview one-on-one with the applicant directly. If a manager selects a particular candidate, Human Resources reaches out to that candidate to initiate the background investigation process. Because it's a government agency, it does have to go through procedures and protocols before a candidate officially starts with us, such as a background investigation. It has to go through a budgetary approval process. Then once we receive all the necessary approvals, then the candidate can start working with us.
Great. Excellent. And can you talk a little bit about the other agencies and other departments that DOB works with as well?
Certainly. So we interact with agencies from different areas of the city. We work with the Department of Housing Preservation and Development. They're our sister agency. They inspect affordable housing to make sure that they're in compliance with housing regulations. We also do a lot of work with the New York City Department of Transportation, the New York City Parks Department, the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission. We also do a lot of work with the New York City Emergency Management Office. We also do work with members of the New York City Council if they have any questions about our agency pertaining to their district. But we also do a lot of work with the New York City Department of Design and Construction, and we also do a lot of work with the New York City Department of Education and the School Construction Authority. And also we do work with the fire department and the police department if there's an emergency, such as there's a fire or a building collapses. And also for our attorneys who work for our agency, we do a lot of work with the New York City Law Department.
That's great. It sounds like you're able at the agency to interact with kind of a variety of agencies, a variety of departments, and really collaborate with others in the city, which is, of course, especially important during this time. Can you tell us a little bit about how candidates might be able to stand out during the hiring process?
Yes, definitely. These are just little tips that I think can help a candidate stand out. Please indicate that you want a position at the Department of Buildings, and please be specific in terms of the unit you want to work in and why you want to work for the Department of Buildings. Why do you want to work for us specifically compared to other city agencies? If you have experience working on a particular project, please indicate it on your resume. Just be as detailed as possible, but don't make it so detailed that it can't be easy to read. And also, just tell us what about the Department of Buildings attracts you as a job candidate. And if you're applying for a position in a particular unit, please indicate why you want to work in this unit. Or how you can bring transferable skills from your previous experience to our unit.
Absolutely. And are there any kind of common mistakes that you see candidates making either in the application process or the interview process that you can share?
Yes. So sometimes candidates, they apply to multiple positions at multiple agencies. So on your cover letters, please make sure you're indicating that you want an internship position at the New York City Department of Buildings, not the New York City Department of Transportation. Even though it's a mistake, it can separate you from other applicants. And just to apply by the deadline, and just to make your resumes as detailed as possible. And if you're applying for an internship, please indicate your grade level or when you expected to graduate. Don't just say that you're going to Baruch but not indicate your expected graduation, because we have no way of knowing if you're still enrolled in school or not. And when it comes to the interview process, say everything you want to say. It's your only opportunity to meet your potential manager. So don't be shy about giving your answers. Say everything. That will be your only opportunity to do so.
Okay, great.
And also, if you are placed in an internship role that isn't directly aligned with your major, give it a chance. It will give you opportunities to learn more about the agency, and it'll just give you more experience in working with different kinds of managers, and it could open opportunities for other positions within the agency. And lateral transfer opportunities, they do exist. You just have to give them time. They will present themselves.
Okay, great. And in terms of civil service exams,
Yes.
which positions require the exam, which ones don't, which ones can people get into and then maybe later take the civil service exam?
Certainly. So we hire most of our candidates through a competitive civil service exam system. The civil service exams are administered by the Department of Citywide Administrative Services. They're our oversight personnel agency. So I always tell candidates, so file for any exam that you qualify for. For example, if an exam requires a bachelor's degree, please make sure you sign up for that exam by the appropriate deadline. If an exam requires a master's degree in public administration, please sign up for that. Please sign up for every single exam that you qualify for, even if it's the most basic one, such as a clerical aid or a police administrative aid. File for the exam, take the exam, because it could open up a variety of opportunities. As of right now, exams are postponed because of the coronavirus, but always keep abreast through the Department of Citywide Administrative Services website and sign up for notifications. College aides, they're exempt from the civil service system because they're non-competitive titles. Some positions are not in non-competitive titles, such as community liaisons, community associates. They have very specialized job duties, so they are exempted from the civil service exam. But I would always recommend to sign up for every single civil service exam you qualify for, even if it's the most basic one, because it can only lead to opportunities down the road.
Okay. And then after folks take the exam, do you know what the next piece is, like in terms of getting hired?
Yes. So after you take an exam, you get a score from the Department of Citywide Administrative Services, with your score and your list number. Depending on how well you score on the exam, you could be number 1 on the list, or you can be list number 1,000. It just depends on how well you did on the exam. So when agencies want to fill a vacancy with a certain civil service exam title, depending on what exam you took, they'll send physical letters indicating that a particular agency is hiring for a specific civil service title based on your list number. So in that call letter, you'll see the exam you took, the position an agency wants to fill, and the time of the interview. And that is essentially an interview invitation where you get to meet units looking to fill particular roles based on a civil service title. So it could take years for a civil service list to be established. It depends on how many applicants took the exam, the time process to compile a list. So it could be a while from the time you took the exam to the actual interviewing process.
So do you recommend folks really start looking out for these exams while they're still in school? Because if they're ready to start working or transition to a different job when they graduate, because it will take, up to a year or more.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. While you're still in school, be aware about the civil service process and sign up for any exam that requires a bachelor's degree or a certain amount of credits in public administration leading towards a graduate degree. Because there are certain exams that have a requirement that you must have a master's degree in public administration by such and such date.
Okay, great. And so some of our students are, they're not necessarily coming right from undergrad. They may be working in the private sector, and they're
great.
Like transitioning into a city agency. So if they're kind of at a more senior level and perhaps they don't have any experience working in a city agency,
Mm-hmm.
Should they still try to do an internship even if they're at that higher level, or does DOB ever hire folks who don't have government experience?
Certainly. Even if you don't have government experience, we'll give you that experience. We're more interested in seeing if you have transferable skills from another sector to our agency. So even if you're coming from private, you will still have to, there are transferable skills from the private sector to the public sector, such as coordination, planning, paying attention, understanding deadlines, like certain business procedures that could be transferred to a wide variety of sectors.
Okay, great. And I'm wondering if you might be able to share, what do you think is the best part about working at New York City Department of Buildings?
Yes. I love the fact that we're mission driven, and I love the mission of the agency. And I love the fact that the work that I do, not only am I giving someone a job or an internship, but I get to hire the next public servant who will make a difference in the lives of New Yorkers. Because of our agency, a building is safe for occupants. Because of the work my agency does, a construction worker is working in a safe work environment, and he can come home every night to his family. It's the mission that wakes me up every morning and gets me excited to go to work. There's never a dull moment. Every day is a new learning experience. I work with a great, diverse group of individuals from a variety of backgrounds and experience, and I love the fact that I get to learn from all of them every day. And I love the fact that the Department of Buildings, it's not the first thing you think of when it comes to public safety, but it is a great opportunity to learn about public safety and to gain experience in government and public administration.
Great. And so you had given us at the beginning an overview kind of NYC DOB, and I'm wondering if you can expand a little. And you mentioned if you are interested in working in a specific unit, can you mention that specific unit in your cover letter? I'm wondering if you can share a little more about the different units, number of employees, departments, any details kind of in that nature.
Certainly. So we have 1,900 employees, and they range from interns and college aides to administrators, inspectors, engineers, architects, senior leaders, and commissioners. Our inspectors are the face of the agency, and they're responsible for inspecting buildings and construction sites to make sure they're in compliance with code and zoning regulations. We also have administrators in different units. For example, I work in human resources, and I am in charge of hiring the city's inspectorial workforce. I review their resumes, I coordinate interviews. I'm also involved in placement and onboarding. We have a training department, and they're responsible for providing training and professional development services for all agency employees. We have an IT office. They're responsible for deploying the agency's information technology, equipment, and services. We also have plan examiners. They review plans for upcoming construction projects. We also have administrators in technical units that are responsible for coordinating route sheets for our inspectors. We also have a big legal department, and they represent the agency in court. That's comprised of attorneys, paralegals, administrators. We have a very large customer service unit. So if you have questions about a construction permit application or a question regarding the status of a construction project or building, we'll be able to assist you. And we have offices throughout the 5 boroughs in Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. And we also have an agency's budget office. They're responsible for implementing our agency's fiscal policy. We also have an emergency operations unit. They're responsible for working with the Office of Emergency Management in terms of planning emergency plans for the agency. We also have risk management. They're responsible for analyzing trends and mitigating internal and external risks. So, as I said, we're a very dynamic agency, and we have a lot of different roles within the agency.
Wonderful. So it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities, kind of, you know, whether you're studying public administration or public health or public policy,
Yes.
many opportunities for folks to go into Department of Buildings. So, Rachel, I think I see a bunch of questions coming up in the chat. I'm wondering if you want to transition to that, or if there are any other pieces of information you wanted to make sure to share before we go to the student questions.
Just at the Department of Buildings, it's a great opportunity for you to learn about public administration, the relationship between the mayor and the bureaucracies, how a government agency implements policy, our role within the city, and a lot of our former interns have gone off to have great careers in the public and private sector, and it's a great place to learn and get experience. So we can transition to the questions now.
Okay, great. So we are going to actually, because we have a nice group, we're actually going to try something, which is letting students say their questions out loud. Is there anyone who wrote down a question and you want to say it out loud? Will you just type your name into the chat box for us, and then we can unmute you? And if not, we can totally read the questions for you. So no worries if you are not interested. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning of the questions. So a question from Shamika. is she currently works as a special consultant for the New York City Department of Health.
Oh, wonderful.
At this time, are you only looking for interns, or is there an opportunity for full-time work for those seeking to transfer from one city agency to another? So that's an interesting question. She's already working at an agency and wondering if she can transfer as opposed to someone kind of coming into city agency for the first time.
Well, as of right now, we don't have any administrative full-time vacancies. If there is a vacancy that she qualifies for, she can apply. But as of right now, we don't have any full-time administrative positions open right now. But the fact that she has she has city experience, we can definitely like transfer her skills from that agency to another.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so a question from Federico. He asks, can you talk briefly about the benefits as well as the pay scale published for each job post? It's my understanding that new hires usually receive a lower rate for the first 2 years because they don't get paid holidays. So that's kind of a few questions. I guess the first one is, can you talk briefly about the benefits as well as pay scale?
For full-time or for internships?
I guess for both.
Okay, so for interns, you get to work full-time during your vacation period and part-time during the school year, and your internships are paid. And you get to work your schedule with your unit manager during the school year because they know that you're still in school, so we want to work with your schedule to make sure that you can work for us and then continue on with your schooling. Interns, they don't get paid holidays, but full-time staff members do. As an intern, one of the benefits you get to be exposed to working in a public sector government agency. We have special discounts for New York City employees. We have offer discounts for like cell phone plans and electronics, and other discounts. Now, interns, there are opportunities to move around within the agency and apply for other positions within the city that members of the public cannot see. For full-time staff members, you have medical and hospital coverage, prescription drug coverage, dental coverage, vision care, pension plan, flex spending accounts, annual leave, sick leave. Full-time staff members get paid holidays. We also have an employee assistance program that's open to paid interns as well. Full-time staff members are eligible to apply for the Mayor's Graduate Scholarship, and interns and full-time staff members are eligible for a wide variety of paid training and professional development opportunities.
That's great. And so to go back to what we were speaking about, the civil service exam, is the civil service exam only for full-time positions? Do you ever have to take it for a part-time position?
Not necessarily, no. Most of the civil service exams are for full-time.
Okay, great. And Liam has a question about the application process.
Marnie, he actually said he would ask it himself.
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
Oh.
Okay, let's do it for Liam.
Hi, thank you so much for speaking with us this afternoon.
Hi.
Yeah, so I guess my question is just sort of like a two-part. I guess the first part is like, what is sort of like what do you see in the typical like good application that you consider? What's sort of involved? And I guess the second question is, I guess for the internships because they're open, what is sort of like the recruiting timeline and the process?
Okay.
involved.
So regarding your resumes, please make sure that they're detailed as possible, and please make sure that they're easy to read. Now, depending on your experience, you may have more experience than some of your colleagues, but even if you've only had a previous internship role, tell us about it. Talk about a project you worked on. In your resume, tailor that specific resume to a specific internship position that you're applying for. For example, if an internship posting asks for communications, excellent communication and organizational skills, talk about how you have communication and organizational skills in your resume. If they look for specific technical skills like Excel, WordPress, talk about how you've used on your previous positions, if at all. And just tailor your resume specific to the specific posting. Now, what was the second part of your question?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the second part was just like, what is like the typical like timeline look like for? I mean, I would assume it varies for position to position, but like, how many interviews? What's that process like?
Certainly. So the process varies because certain postings have different closing dates. So after the internship posting closes, the unit manager reviews the resumes, and then that manager will call a person in for an interview. Usually our internship interviews, they're only one round where you'll be interviewed with a unit manager and another staff member. Usually it's from that same unit. And this is a great opportunity to talk about yourself, talk about what attracts you to the Department of Buildings, about your program. How can your program in public administration and public affairs transition to the work at our agency? It's not so much as, it's supposed to be a conversation so we can learn more about you, your skills, your experience, and how we can also help you. It's more than just what you can do for us, but what can we do for you? Because we want you to have a memorable internship experience as well. And we want to help you on your career path. Then after the hiring manager makes the decision, they let human resources know that we want this candidate. So then we reach out to you by phone, saying that you were hired as an intern. But then it has to go through a background investigation and a budgetary approval process, which could take up to 4 to 6 weeks before you can actually start with us. So between when you submit your resume to when you actually start with us could take some time because it has to go through various channels.
Got it. Understand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I see that Jonathan has a question.
Wonderful.
Jonathan, if you want to go ahead with your question, we should be able to hear you.
Hey, Rachel, thank you for your time. The
Hi.
question I have is, does the New York City Department of Buildings, do they offer any fellowships for graduate students like myself? Or apprenticeships or anything like that? Or,
As of right now, no, but
okay.
we do. But our internship programs, it's a great place to start because then it can open up to other opportunities down the road. And,
Right.
and who knows, depending on our agency's budget and your workload, there can be opportunity for a full-time role down the line. So I always recommend start off with an internship, apply for it, and see where that can take you.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Jonathan. I see another question from Jen. So for the internships while this pandemic is going on, are they planned to be remote? If people are not able to go to the office at this point?
Yes, so we are currently working on providing remote access for interns. You would have to go into the office just for one day, but that will be for your start date so you can meet your manager in person and set up arrangements to work from home. and we're currently having our IT staff to procure more laptops and cell phones for our attorneys so they can work from home. So there is the opportunity to work from home as an intern.
Okay, great. And so will you and the agency continue to post opportunities during the COVID pandemic, or are things basically kind of on hold in terms of the full-time positions for the moment?
Well, as of right now, they're on hold for now, but we still have to meet our service levels and we still have to continue our operations as normal as we possibly can. So we will be still posting full-time roles, just not at our normal rate as we did previously.
Okay. Okay, so I see Erica wants to ask her question out loud, so I'm gonna.
Oh, great.
Hi,
Okay.
Rachel.
Go ahead.
Actually,
Hi there.
you at the career fair that Baruch held, I believe in the spring. So it's nice
Ah,
to
yes.
friendly face. Thank you for talking to us today. So I heard that you mentioned the mayor's scholarship program for like graduates. How does that look like for someone who's working for Department of Buildings and ongoing that process?
Well, the mayor's graduate scholarship, it's only available to full-time employees, and the application period is usually in the summer of the academic year. So you have to be a full-time employee first, and it depends on your school's program. But then your scholarship application gets reviewed by a committee. Then the mayor's office pays for a certain amount of your tuition.
Okay, great. Thank you, Erica and Rachel. I have a question. Can you tell us if international students are eligible for internships, if they have work authorization for CPT or OPT?
Yes, so we do take international students, but we do not provide sponsorship. They have to get sponsorship from another source, such as the school, if they provide that. So they have to be authorized, or they have to be sponsored by a school, because we do take international students.
Okay, great. And are there any residency requirements? Like, do you need to be a resident of New York City to apply for the internships?
Typically, New York City residency is required within 90 days of employment. So by the 90th day of your employment with us, you have to establish a New York City residency. So if you live in Westchester or New Jersey, you have to state that you can make arrangements to live in New York by the 90th day of employment if you're selected.
Okay, gotcha. That's really helpful. Thank you for sharing that. We do have a lot of students and alumni in the New York City area, but there are folks, as we said, kind of in the tri-state area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost 1:45. I want to see if we have any final questions for Rachel, whether you want to type it in or whether you want to say it out loud. We do have time for maybe one more. Let's see if people are being shy. Oh, yes. So I actually have a question, which is, if people have follow-up questions that maybe are very specific to their situation and maybe didn't make sense to ask in this kind of open forum today, would you be able to share your contact details? Would you be open to that? I can type it into the chat box.
Yes. So the best way to reach out to me is at rlove@buildings.nyc.gov.
Okay, I'm going to type this in. So it's rlove@buildings.gov.
I'm sorry. It's rlove@buildings.nyc.gov.
Okay.
Yes, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And are you open to students reaching out to you on LinkedIn who have attended this seminar today?
I don't have a personal LinkedIn account, but I do. But we do have a NYC Buildings career page on LinkedIn, and you can connect with us then as well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. So, folks, you can follow up with Rachel at her email. Check out the DOB LinkedIn page. Rachel, we thank you so much for your time today. This was really helpful. And we're glad we got to speak with you even right before the deadline for the 2 of the internships, and one of them is coming up. So anyone who's interested, work on their application tonight. You still have time. So please, everybody, join me in thanking Rachel for being with us today. We really appreciate your time. And stay safe and stay healthy.
Yes, stay safe. And I know this is a lot for you guys in terms of schooling and distance learning, but keep up the good work and continue on with your schooling, and look out for opportunities within New York City government. It's really great and rewarding.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rachel. Wishing everyone a great day.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.